Welcome to the Getting Through Today podcast. I'm Brita. Come along with me as I share my story of the ups and downs through chronic illness and depression, all while being a mother of 5. I know healing is possible, and through every phase there is beauty, even if we don't always see it at the time. I know what it feels like to just get through one day at a time. Let's get started. Hello, I'm so glad you're here. Today's episode is for the caregivers, the ones who show up over and over, often without being asked and often without being acknowledged. It's for the wives, husbands, daughters, sons, friends, children, anyone caring for someone they love while quietly setting aside their own needs. It's for those living in the tension of being strong and maybe feeling like they're falling apart behind the scenes. I see you, and I know how heavy it can get. Because caregiving isn't just about helping someone else. It's about holding space for 2 people at once. And that's a kind of strength that doesn't get talked about enough. Today, we're going to talk about what it really means to care for someone while still caring for yourself, because both of you matter and you are not optional in this equation. Caregiving can be beautiful. It can be filled with purpose, connection, and love. But let's be honest, it can also be really hard. No one prepares you for the emotional layers of caring for someone who is sick, struggling, or hurting. You might deal with guilt for needing a break, resentment you don't want to admit, emotional exhaustion that builds up in silence, and maybe even the quiet ache of feeling like you've disappeared inside of someone else's crisis. I know this because I've lived it. There have been seasons in my life when my husband Jeff had to step in and care for me when I couldn't care for myself. And seasons where I've been the one holding it all together for someone else. And I found that in both roles, there is grief. Grief for what's been lost. Grief for the version of life you thought you'd have. And grief for your own needs that feel like they no longer matter. But here's the truth. You matter just as much as the person you're caring for. And when you neglect yourself for too long, then both of you suffer. I think there might be a myth in caregiving culture that you're supposed to be selfless all the time. But I feel like selflessness doesn't mean that you are invisible. It doesn't mean ignoring your own mental health. It doesn't mean stuffing down your emotions to protect someone else. You are not a robot. You are not a saint. You are a whole person with needs, dreams, boundaries, and limits. And honoring those things doesn't make you selfish. It makes you sustainable. I know it can feel hard to ask for help when the person you're caring for is already struggling, but you can't pour from an empty cup, and you don't have to burn out to prove your love. When I was dealing with a lot of my health struggles, our kids were little. When our oldest was 8, and we adopted our youngest, who was a baby, our kids were little, 8 and under. And they had a lot of needs. They needed food. They needed to be played with. They needed to get to their activities. They needed to get to school, different things. And it was a challenge. And I know for me, I was doing my best when I was sick, and my husband would go to work, come home, and it was just a real struggle. And I was talking to my husband, Jeff, the other day and asking him, why didn't you ask for a little bit of help or take the kids to the gym with you so you could get to the gym? I mean, part of it was he was exhausted, right? He was tired. But it's important that people continue to live their life and do their things, even when someone they're caregiving for can't do those things. And I always wanted Jeff and the kids to go do fun things, even if I couldn't. But I know that it's not always easy to continue to live when someone you care about really isn't living the life that they wanted to. And so I encourage anyone who's going through this, whether you're the caregiver or the person being taken care of, to encourage your caregiver to go do something for themselves each day. And if you have a hard time being without that person, maybe you could call a friend or a family member that could sit with you while the caregiver goes and does something. I wish we would have been better at that. I was not in a mindset to really be able to help Jeff in those moments. I did my best to, hey, why don't you go do this with the kids, or why don't you do this? But I'm not sure I even thought about him really doing those things for himself. I always did encourage him. He loves to play basketball, so I would encourage him to go play basketball on Wednesday evenings. So he did do that a lot. And then he also coached one of our son's football teams. So I tried to do those things, but it was really hard for me when I needed a lot of help and I wasn't doing well to always be home with the other kids and entertaining when I wasn't feeling well. I wish I would have asked for a little more help when I was going through it. So all the hard things weren't dropped on Jeff, but we didn't know any better. We just felt like we could figure it out. We just kept kind of feeling that my struggles would only last a little while, and they ended up lasting 10 plus years. So I think even if you're in a hard season for a couple of weeks, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to have people step in and help your loved one so that you can go do the things that you need to do for yourself. And I know that's not always easy because it is hard to ask for help. It was always hard for me. But I think it's just sitting down with each other and seeing what your needs are, seeing what's realistic, and then setting a plan and making a plan in place to support both the caregiver and the person who is being taken care of. Okay, now let's get practical. Here are a few gentle ways that you can take care of both of you without guilt. So one thing you could do is check in with yourself first thing each day. Just maybe ask those questions with yourself and your caregiver. Hey, how am I doing today? How are you doing today? What do I need, even if it's something small? And if you both, the caregiver and the person that is being taken care of, if you both ask yourself these questions, see how those things can be met. And then build just even little tiny moments of care into your day. Even if you can't get away, find 2 minutes to breathe, to stretch, to cry, to journal, or even just step outside, because sometimes the tiniest reset can just stop a spiral before it starts. Another thing you can do is set one boundary and stick to it. That might mean letting a text go unanswered until tomorrow, or asking a family member to help out for just 1 hour. I feel like a lot of people want to help, they just don't know how. So if you say, hey, if you could come over and just sit with the kids for 1 hour so I can go do something, a lot of people want to help in that way. Another thing you can do is acknowledge your emotions without shame, because it's okay to be tired, annoyed, resentful, or sad, but you have to allow yourself to feel it even if no one else sees the weight you're carrying. And this goes for both people. It's hard for everybody when someone is sick. When someone needs to be cared for, it's hard for everybody. And let love flow both ways. You're not just the giver, you're not just the taker. You're allowed to give and receive care, encouragement, and presence. Whether it's from a friend, a therapist, a podcast, or just a moment to yourself. One of the hardest parts of caregiving is this truth. You can love someone deeply and still feel overwhelmed by the role. This doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means you're human. Recently, I've had the opportunity to be a caregiver for someone who has really been struggling physically, mentally, emotionally. And I have loved stepping into this role, but it's meant that my life has kind of been turned upside down. Going to appointments and different things has made my home life a lot different. And it's been really amazing to just see my kids stepping up and helping in ways that they have brought to me and said, hey, Mom, can we do this to help you out? And it's been incredible because I know I can't do it all. I can't manage a household, work full time, do all the other things I want to do, take care of my family, and help this person. It's just not possible. So I have been so impressed by my kids and the way that they're helping up to help my husband and I while we're going through this hard time. And I've had a whole new awareness and appreciation for my husband, Jeff, as I've been able to step up and help this person in this way. I've been a little more reflective of thinking about how he took care of me for a lot of years and how hard it must have been for him, and how grateful I am that he stuck through it and he stood by my side through the ups and through the downs. And I feel like it really has given me strength to help this person that I'm helping right now because he did it for me. I know I can do it for someone else. And I've even been saying, yes, we can take meals. Thank you. Yes, you can take my kids to do this. Or however people are offering to help, I am saying yes more. And that's been really nice too. Because it's not easy to be on the receiving end or the giving end sometimes because it just takes so much out of us. But one thing I've been doing is to make sure on the weekends that I do take the time for myself, to nurture myself, to sleep a little more, to just have fun. And that's been really nice. Now, if you're a caregiver for your partner, your child, your parent, there's a layer of grief that sits beneath all the love. Grief for what's been lost, grief for the relationship you had before the illness or the hardship entered the picture. And I just want you to know that it's okay to feel both. You can hold love and exhaustion, gratitude and grief, hope and heartbreak. There's no right way to feel in caregiving. There's just your way, and it deserves space. I know when I watched my mom take care of my grandma who was dealing with dementia, I know it was hard on her, but she always tried to seem so positive, and she's amazing. And she has the strength and this ability to care for people that I've really always admired in her. We were talking recently and I said, Mom, that must have been so hard. I didn't even realize how hard that must have been. And she told me, yes, it was really hard because my grandmother needed a lot of care. And I'd like to talk to my mom more about how she really did it for so long and continued to be a bright, happy person full of optimism, even when she was carrying so much. And my mom's amazing. She is supportive and strong, and she will do anything for anybody. And I really appreciate that about her. And even when I was dealing with all of my health issues, she was always a phone call away. And still, even when I'm going through my hard things, I'm able to call her and get that support and that love so that I can be able to continue helping and doing the things I'm doing. And I wonder sometimes, who does she turn to? I don't know, but I hope she knows she can turn to me, because we have to hold space for each other. We have to help support each other, because I know everybody's going through hard things, and we can lift and help each other and hold space for each other so that we can get through the hard moments. Now, I want to do something I haven't done before on the podcast, and I want to bring someone in very special, my husband, Jeff. And Jeff, like I said, was my caregiver through some of my hardest years of my life, when my body felt like it was falling apart, when depression was a daily battle, and when I honestly didn't know how I was going to keep going. He stepped into a role he never asked for, and he carried me more than I realized at the time. So today I asked him to come on and share what that experience was really like, what he wishes people knew, what helped him, and what he learned about love and limits along the way. So when you think back to those really hard years when I was sick, what stands out the most emotionally for you?
The hardest thing for me, honestly, throughout that thing emotionally was, I think, the unknown. Knowing, one, where there are, where you're going to heal, even though I truly felt that you would, it just not knowing the time frame. And so just watching you be sick, it was just really hard. I think it's just really the unknown.
Okay, what was the hardest part of being in that caregiver role as a husband?
I think the hardest part was just watching you struggle, one, with being sick, two, not being able to be the person that you wanted to be, do the things that you wanted to do. So it was really difficult to watch you to, just being in bed and really just watching the days go by and not a whole lot you could do about it.
Did you ever feel like your needs were invisible?
I wouldn't say invisible, but I would say feeling like my needs were put on the back burner. Really, at times I just felt like my needs didn't matter. It was more, what does Brita need today, and what can I do to make today a better day or a good day for her? Because at that time, I kind of quit thinking about my needs and just kind of went in survival mode. And so I didn't really wasn't thinking about what I could do for me or what I needed to do for me. It was, what needs to be done in the home, what needs to be done with the kids, and what do you need?
And if you could go back and tell yourself one thing during that season, what would it be?
That it's okay, even though, things were really hard. Yeah, it could have been allowing myself to still be me and still do the things that I enjoyed. Because again, I kind of put a lot of things on hold or on the back burner, but find a time and find a place to still enjoy your life.
What would you say to someone right now who is supporting a partner with chronic illness or depression?
Well, that's a good question, and I really think what I'd tell somebody in that situation is to really, yeah, you have to be patient and selfless, and just know, that it is things are the situation is, has changed. Your life may be different than what you thought, but just being patient and helping out your significant other, it's all worth it in the end, in my mind. So I think the biggest thing is just be patient and be loving and caring and help them through it, because they don't want to go through it. And if they don't have the support, then it just makes it even harder, to want to even get through the situation.
What do you feel that helped us stay connected as a couple, even when everything felt so heavy?
I think for me, I just felt like constantly serving you, and I feel like being there with you through it all. I just really felt like it kept us together, kept us connected. So I was able to help you every step of the way in the ways that I could. I know I always wasn't perfect in helping you in the ways that you needed it, but I always felt like I was there to help, and I felt like that helped us stay connected. We played card games and different things too. We'd watch movies. We'd have date night at home, and just tried to, as the situation wasn't the greatest, but we still tried to make the best of the situation and still have fun.
And now that you're not in that constant caregiver mode, how has it shaped you?
I feel like it's helped me to have a deeper appreciation for those that struggle with illness or chronic illness or depression. I have more compassion towards those people. The whole situation it was very difficult. And like I'd mentioned earlier, just all the unknowns was very difficult. But watching you really push through the situation and constantly trying to get through another day, and it really just made me appreciate life and appreciate what I had, and knowing that you were struggling with so many different things. I mean, just I think back to having vertigo. Yeah, every day for roughly a year of feeling like the world's spinning. Like I have vertigo for 30 seconds and I feel like I'm going to die. Just knowing that you dealt with that, and then knowing how you felt, when you were with Lyme disease and feeling like you had the flu every day for who knows how long. Again, I get the flu and I'm out for 2 days and the world's ending and stuff. It's, I just personally couldn't imagine how you felt and how you get through it. But I think again, going back to how amazing you are, yes, watching you conquer and get through all this, even though it took about 10 years for you to heal and to feel like you get back to normal life and normal activities. And you're my hero.
Well, I feel the same about you. And I've seen a lot of people, when people get chronically ill or deal with depression, that a lot of times a partner won't be able to stay with them. And that's okay. Like, I understand it's really hard, but I also feel like, I'm really, really grateful that you did stay by my side, because it was hard. It was really hard for both of us. I feel like it really, really stretched our marriage. We really had to decide if we wanted to stick it out for each other. And how do you feel like our marriage is today because of what we've been through?
I feel like I feel stronger. Like I feel like just going through that together, I feel there's a lot of good that's come out of it and a lot of things that I've learned about myself. I just feel like our bond is even stronger.
I feel the same. Yeah, I definitely do. Was I happy all the time during all the chronic illness?
No.
I cried a lot.
Lots of emotions for sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, is there anything else you'd like to share about our journey together?
Or just again, for those of you that are going through a situation like this, and if again you're on the caregiver side, be patient. Again, be loving, caring. I know a lot of people, because there's change, in a marriage and something like this happens, it's hard, and people do leave the situation because they can't handle it. But I tell you right now, push through it, and it'll be worth it in the end.
And one time I had asked you how you got through it, and you had said something like, I didn't take things personal. Could you tell us a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yeah. So what I meant by when I said that is I know that at times as you were going through hard things, I felt that there's a point where you were a little different in the sense of things that you would say to me. Sometimes I was hurt, but at the same time, I didn't let it hurt me or bother me because I knew that what was being said was because of what you were dealing with, and it wasn't something that you really felt about me. It was just because of the heaviness of your situation. There's things that came out that you typically wouldn't say.
Yeah, that's true. And I was kind of grumpy a lot.
Yeah.
You were the one that got the brunt end of, I was trying to hold it all together all day, and then you'd come home and I'd cry and vent to you, and that kind of sucked too. That wasn't the best thing to do.
No. So yeah, again, don't take things personal. I always said I was trying to be a duck. Just let things roll off my back.
You're a cute duck. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Jeff. Not just for being here, but for showing up for me in the hardest moments with so much love for so many years. I've really wanted you to be my first guest on my podcast. So thank you, and I love you, and I appreciate everything you do for me and our family.
Thanks for having me, and I love you too.
I just want you to know that Jeff's story matters. And if you're a caregiver for your partner, I hope this has helped you feel seen. And as I've listened to his story, it just makes me emotional because I'm so grateful I have a loving, kind man who has shown up for me over and over again, and that we have shown up for each other in the ways that we can. And I'm so grateful that I've been on the receiving end of care And like I've talked about earlier, I am back in the position of being a caregiver again. And I've always been a caregiver to my kids. I try really hard to be there for them emotionally, physically, and in all the ways they need to. And I love my kids. They're amazing. And I'm also trying to be better there for Jeff because he needs support as well. And then to my friend who's going through something incredibly hard, and to the people I love who need more than I sometimes have energy to give. And I'll be honest, everything I'm dealing with has been so much lately. There are so many days when I literally feel like I am running on fumes, where I just get in bed at the end of the day and don't even know how I'm going to get through the next day. But here's what I'm learning. I definitely do not have to do it all perfectly. And I'm not. I'm definitely not perfect at it. I've let a lot go. Sometimes my house is a mess, and it's okay because there's different priorities right now. Maybe we have a little more screen time than usual. So just allow whatever season you're in, just give yourself a little bit of grace that it doesn't have to look like you thought it would look. Another thing I'm learning is that I have to check in with myself. I have to ask myself, okay, what's mine to carry today and what's not? I had met with a lady who had encouraged me to be a witness for other people's pain and not to carry other people's pain. And that hit me. And I realized that I've known for a long time that I'm an emotional person, but I feel like I was trying to hold everybody together and hurt with them. And you can still do that by witnessing instead of carrying everything for them. Let people carry their own pain and be there for them. Be a witness to love on them, to hug them. But we don't have to get so wrapped up in their pain that we're hurting so much too. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, it just means that we can be there for each other. Anyways, I think it's kind of a hard line sometimes because I do cry with people and I'm there for them, but I also can only carry myself. And then I have to allow them to have their experience, and they can vent to me, they can cry to me, I can be there for them, but I also have to build myself up and be there for myself. Another thing I'm learning is I let people help even when it feels uncomfortable. I've been saying yes to meals, to all the little things that people are doing to be kind to me because I know now that receiving is not weakness, it's wisdom. If no one receives, who can serve anybody? So if someone's willing to do something for you, say yes. Let them do it. Let them help. It is so important that we get help when we need it. And I've been learning to forgive myself for snapping, for crying, for needing a break. I've had so many moments that I wish weren't my story, that I wish I could have handled all my years of chronic illness beautifully and been just so nice. And I wasn't always. And I've just come to realize that this work is messy and it's just real. So just try to give yourself a little bit of forgiveness and grace as you're going through hard things. And if you're in a season of caregiving right now, especially if you're caregiving while still healing, please hear me. You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to not have all the answers. And you're still doing an amazing job. Here's a few journaling prompts that can help you kind of get through what you're going through. Maybe you could journal, where am I still carrying guilt around needing support or not being able to give enough? How can I honor my limits while still loving well? What does taking care of both of us look like in my caregiving situation? Maybe start there and then just write for a little bit. Write about your feelings, write what's going on in your life, and take a moment to support yourself here, to vent it out. Maybe you don't have anybody to vent to. Vent it out on the paper. It's really important to get our thoughts out and how we're feeling and to honor how we feel. And then something you can do is to take 5 minutes to just check in with your body, to just kind of see where you're holding tension, and just kind of allow yourself to relax in the moment. And then create a quiet list for yourself. It can be just a really short list of quick grounding tools. It could be a walk, listening to music, breathing techniques, journaling. Find a short little list of things that you can do when you start maybe getting overwhelmed, or you just need some time for yourself, that you have a list in front of you of what you can do. Because sometimes when you're struggling or taking care of people, you kind of forget what you need for yourself. And then just, of course, just allow yourself to know that you're doing your best, knowing that that is enough. And to just take a breath and take a little time for yourself today. To every caregiver listening, whether you're in it right now or holding memories of that season, I want you to remember, you matter just as much as the one you're caring for. You're allowed to need things. You're allowed to break down and begin again. And maybe you can't break down in front of the person you're caregiving for, but find that support group. Find those people in your life that can hold space for you so that you can keep continuing showing up for the person that needs you. Caregiving is a sacred act, but you should not disappear in the process. Make sure and take care of you while you're taking care of both of you, even in the smallest ways, especially in the smallest ways. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You don't have to heal overnight. You just have to keep getting through today.